The Secret to Keeping Him Interested Long-Term, written and published by Olivia Grace from Attraction Unlocked. Relationships are often painted as a thrilling chase, full of excitement and unpredictability. But what happens after the chase? What happens when the butterflies settle and the initial sparks evolve into something deeper? For many, this is where doubt creeps in. Will he stay interested? What if the connection fades? What if he gets bored? These fears are common, but they don't have to define your relationship. The truth is, keeping someone interested long-term isn't about constant thrills or keeping him guessing. It's about creating a connection so dynamic and fulfilling that it naturally stands the test of time. Attraction might spark the beginning of a relationship, but it's what happens after that truly matters. This audiobook is about unlocking the secrets to not only capturing his interest but holding it in a way that feels authentic, rewarding, and exciting for both of you. Let me start with a story. Imagine a woman named Sarah. Sarah is intelligent, charming, and confident. When she first starts dating her partner, everything is electric. They share laughter, flirtation, and endless late-night conversations. But as the weeks turn into months, Sarah begins to notice subtle shifts. His text messages become shorter, the excitement in his voice fades, and their time together feels more routine than magical. Sarah wonders what she's doing wrong. Did she lose her edge? Did the novelty of their relationship wear off? Sarah's experience is one many of us can relate to. We often mistake the fading of initial intensity as a sign that something is wrong. But here's the reality. Relationships aren't meant to stay in the honeymoon phase forever. Long-term interest requires effort, intention, and a deep understanding of what keeps love alive. The good news is, these skills aren't mysterious or unattainable. They're strategies you can learn and practice. One of the most persistent myths about relationships is the idea that keeping someone interested is all about maintaining the thrill of the chase. We're told to play hard to get, to keep him guessing, or to constantly reinvent ourselves to stay exciting. But let's be honest, this approach is exhausting and unsustainable. Relationships aren't a game of cat and mouse. They're about building a connection that feels alive, nurturing, and mutual. The secret isn't in being unpredictable. It's in creating a relationship so rich and fulfilling that he never wants to look elsewhere. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect or that the relationship has to be flawless. In fact, one of the most powerful tools for keeping someone interested is showing up as your authentic self. People are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin, who bring both depth and lightness to the connection. This audiobook will help you discover how to do just that, how to cultivate emotional intimacy, maintain independence, and bring playfulness and joy into your relationship without losing yourself in the process. It's natural to have fears about losing the spark. After all, we live in a world that often focuses on beginnings, on the thrill of falling in love. But the real beauty of a relationship lies in what comes after. It's in the small moments of connection, the shared growth, and the effort you both invest to keep things fresh and meaningful. This audiobook will guide you through every step of that journey, from understanding the dynamics of long-term attraction to navigating challenges with confidence and grace. So, if you've ever wondered how to keep him interested, not just for weeks or months but for years, this audiobook is for you. It's not about tricks or manipulations. It's about building a relationship that feels alive and fulfilling for both of you. Whether you're just starting out or looking to reignite a long-term connection, the tools and insights here will help you create something extraordinary. As we dive in, remember this. The power to cultivate a lasting and exciting relationship is in your hands. It's about intention, effort, and a willingness to learn and grow together. By the end of this audiobook, you'll have the clarity and confidence to not only keep him interested but to create a partnership that feels deeply rewarding for you both. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Understanding Long-Term Attraction. Attraction is often thought of as something immediate, a spark that lights up when two people meet. But while initial chemistry can feel magical, it's not what sustains a relationship over time. True, long-term attraction is something far deeper. It's not just about how someone makes you feel in a fleeting moment. It's about how they make you feel consistently, day after day, year after year. It's about building a connection that thrives well beyond the butterflies of the early days. Let's break it down. What keeps a relationship alive and exciting after the initial rush fades? The answer lies in balance. A harmonious blend of emotional, intellectual, and physical connection. Each of these elements plays a unique role in keeping a relationship strong, and when they're nurtured together, they create a bond that doesn't just endure, it grows stronger over time. Emotional connection is the foundation. This is the feeling of being seen, understood, and supported. It's the sense of safety that allows you to be vulnerable and share your true self with your partner. Without emotional connection, a relationship can feel hollow, no matter how much physical chemistry or intellectual compatibility you share. Emotional intimacy comes from small, everyday moments, listening to each other, validating feelings, and showing empathy. It's the glue that holds everything else together. Intellectual connection, on the other hand, is about stimulation and curiosity. It's the joy of learning and growing together, of engaging in meaningful conversations and sharing new experiences. When you're intellectually connected, you challenge each other in the best possible ways, keeping the relationship dynamic and engaging. This doesn't mean you have to share every interest or hobby, but it does mean finding ways to inspire and learn from each other. Finally, there's physical connection, the spark that initially brings people together and the intimacy that keeps them close. Physical connection isn't just about attraction, it's about touch, affection, and the ability to communicate love through action. Over time, physical connection evolves, becoming less about grand gestures and more about the small, meaningful ways you show care and desire for one another. A brush of the hand, a kiss on the forehead, or a hug at the right moment can speak volumes. The challenge is that these connections don't maintain themselves. Long-term attraction requires effort and intention. It's easy to feel drawn to someone at the beginning when everything is fresh and exciting, but sustaining that draw takes continuous investment. This is where many relationships falter. When partners stop putting in the effort to nurture these connections, attraction begins to fade. Let me share a story about a couple, Helen and David, who were married for over 40 years and seemed just as in love as the day they met. People often asked them what their secret was, and Helen always laughed and said, "It's simple. We keep choosing each other." But what did that really mean? Over time, it became clear that their secret was anything but simple. It was the way they invested in their relationship every single day. For Helen and David, attraction wasn't something they expected to stay constant on its own. They made a point of prioritizing each other, even when life got busy. They set aside time for weekly date nights, even if it was just a walk around the block. They made an effort to surprise each other with small acts of kindness, a handwritten note, a favorite snack, or a random, "I love you." They also supported each other's individuality, encouraging each other to pursue their own interests and passions. This balance of togetherness and independence kept their relationship vibrant and exciting. What Helen and David showed is that long-term attraction isn't about perfection. They had their disagreements and tough times, just like any couple. But they didn't let those moments define their relationship. Instead, they focused on what they could control: how they showed up for each other, how they communicated, and how they made each other feel valued. Their story is a reminder that attraction doesn't just happen, it's created, over and over again. So, what's the difference between fleeting interest and sustainable love? Fleeting interest is often based on external factors, looks, charm, or the thrill of something new. It's exciting but shallow, and it fades as soon as challenges arise or the novelty wears off. Sustainable love, on the other hand, is rooted in something much deeper. It's about connection, commitment, and the willingness to grow together. Sustainable love isn't flashy, but it's profoundly fulfilling. It's the kind of love that feels like home. This brings us to the most important takeaway. Long-term attraction is about continuous investment, not perfection. No one can sustain the honeymoon phase forever, and that's okay. Real love isn't about keeping things perfect. It's about staying engaged, even when life gets messy. It's about choosing to put in the effort to make your partner feel loved and valued, even after the initial spark fades. The good news is that you don't have to do this perfectly, either. Relationships aren't about never making mistakes, they're about learning from them and growing together. When you approach your relationship with intention and curiosity, you create a space where attraction can thrive. It's not about trying to recapture the magic of the early days but about building a connection that feels even stronger and more meaningful as time goes on. As we move forward, keep this in mind. Long-term attraction isn't a mystery or a lucky coincidence. It's something you cultivate through effort, kindness, and the choice to keep showing up for your partner and your relationship. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the power of emotional intimacy and how it serves as the cornerstone for keeping him interested long-term. But for now, remember this. Attraction isn't just about how you start, it's about how you continue. And with the right mindset and approach, you can create a relationship that remains magnetic and fulfilling for years to come. Chapter 2. The Power of Emotional Intimacy. If you want to keep a man interested long-term, there's one thing you absolutely cannot overlook: emotional intimacy. It's the glue that holds relationships together, the invisible thread that keeps two people connected on a level that goes far beyond surface attraction. While physical chemistry and shared experiences are important, it's the emotional bond that sustains interest over time. Without it, a relationship can start to feel hollow, no matter how exciting it once was. Emotional intimacy is about more than just talking to each other. It's about truly seeing and understanding each other. It's that deep, comforting feeling of being known, accepted, and valued for who you are. For many men, emotional intimacy creates a sense of stability and connection that makes them want to stay, grow, and invest in the relationship. It's not about grand romantic gestures. It's about the little moments where you let your guard down and show your authentic self. So, how do you create emotional intimacy? It starts with active listening. Most of us think we're good listeners, but in reality, we're often just waiting for our turn to speak. Active listening means being fully present in the conversation, focusing on what the other person is saying without planning your response or getting distracted. When he shares something, whether it's a funny story or a deeper fear, show that you're genuinely interested. Nod, maintain eye contact, and respond thoughtfully. Ask follow-up questions that show you're engaged, like, "How did that make you feel?" or "What happened next?" These small gestures can make a big difference in how connected he feels to you. Vulnerability is another key ingredient in emotional intimacy. It's about letting him see the real you, not just the polished, confident version, but the version with fears, insecurities, and dreams. Being vulnerable can be scary, especially if you've been hurt in the past, but it's also incredibly powerful. When you're willing to open up, you invite him to do the same. It creates a space of trust and safety where both of you can be yourselves without fear of judgment. Here's an example of how vulnerability can transform a relationship. Sarah and Mark had been together for a few years, but lately, Sarah felt like they were growing distant. Their conversations had become transactional, focused on logistics and daily routines rather than deeper topics. Sarah decided to try something different. One evening, instead of sticking to the usual small talk, she shared something deeply personal. She told Mark about a fear she'd been carrying from her childhood and how it still affected her confidence today. To her surprise, Mark didn't pull away. Instead, he opened up about a similar fear he'd never shared before. That moment of mutual vulnerability reignited their connection. They realized they'd been holding back out of fear of burdening each other, when in fact, sharing those feelings brought them closer. Genuine curiosity is another way to deepen emotional intimacy. This means approaching your partner with the mindset that there's always more to learn about him, no matter how long you've been together. People are constantly evolving, and showing curiosity about his thoughts, feelings, and experiences helps keep the relationship fresh. Instead of assuming you know everything about him, ask open-ended questions like, "What's been inspiring you lately?" or, "Is there something you've always wanted to try but never had the chance to?" These kinds of questions invite meaningful conversations and remind him that you're interested in every layer of who he is. If you're unsure where to start, try these practical exercises to create more emotional intimacy. One idea is to set aside a few minutes each day to ask each other check-in questions. These can be as simple as, "What was the best part of your day?" or "What's something you're looking forward to this week?" These small, consistent moments of connection help build a strong emotional foundation. Another exercise is to create a curiosity jar. Write down a list of questions designed to spark deeper conversations, such as, "What's a childhood memory that shaped who you are today?" Or, "If you could change one thing about how people see you, what would it be?" Put these questions in a jar and take turns pulling one out during date nights or quiet evenings together. This simple practice encourages both of you to open up in ways you might not otherwise. It's important to remember that emotional intimacy isn't just about talking. It's also about creating a sense of safety. Emotional safety means knowing that you can share your thoughts and feelings without fear of being dismissed, criticized, or misunderstood. For example, if he shares a concern or vulnerability, resist the urge to fix it right away. Instead, validate his feelings by saying something like, "I can see why that's been weighing on you," or, "Thank you for sharing that with me. It means a lot." These responses show empathy and reinforce the idea that it's safe for him to be open with you. Creating emotional safety also means being mindful of how you handle disagreements. It's easy to say hurtful things in the heat of an argument, but those words can erode trust and intimacy. Instead, approach conflicts with curiosity and a willingness to understand his perspective. For instance, if he says something that upsets you, try responding with, "Can you help me understand what you meant by that?" rather than jumping to conclusions. This approach not only diffuses tension but also shows that you value the relationship enough to work through challenges constructively. The key takeaway here is that emotional intimacy is essential for sustained interest. Without it, a relationship can feel like it's running on autopilot, even if everything looks fine on the surface. Emotional intimacy is what keeps the connection alive, what makes him want to stay and invest in the relationship. It's not something that happens overnight, it's built through small, consistent actions over time. As we close this chapter, remember that emotional intimacy is a two-way street. It's not just about getting him to open up, it's about showing up as your authentic self and creating a space where both of you can thrive. In the next chapter, we'll explore how maintaining a sense of independence and mystery can keep your relationship exciting, even as it deepens. But for now, take this as a reminder. Emotional intimacy is the foundation of long-term love. When you nurture it, you create a bond that's not only strong but truly unbreakable. Chapter 3. Maintaining Mystery and Independence. One of the most overlooked yet powerful aspects of keeping a relationship alive is the ability to maintain your own individuality. It's easy to lose sight of yourself in the comfort and closeness of a relationship, but the truth is, mystery and independence are key to sustaining long-term attraction. While emotional intimacy builds connection, independence creates intrigue. The balance between the two is what keeps a relationship dynamic and exciting over time. Think back to the early stages of a relationship. One of the things that makes those first few months so thrilling is the sense of discovery. You're getting to know someone new, learning their quirks, passions, and dreams. There's a natural air of mystery because you don't know everything about them yet. But as time goes on, that mystery can start to fade, especially if you begin to merge your lives too closely. Suddenly, the relationship feels predictable, and the spark you once felt starts to dim. This is where individuality comes in. Maintaining your own identity isn't just about keeping your partner interested, it's about staying true to yourself. When you continue to pursue your own goals, interests, and passions, you bring fresh energy into the relationship. You remind your partner, and yourself, of the person they fell in love with. Someone vibrant, independent, and full of life. Independence doesn't mean creating distance or pulling away. It's about balancing closeness with personal growth. For example, pursuing a hobby, learning a new skill, or spending time with friends and family outside of the relationship can add layers to who you are. When you have experiences and stories to share, you bring something new to the table, keeping the relationship interesting and engaging. Let me share a story about a couple, Anna and Jake, who rediscovered their passion for each other by embracing independence. After 5 years together, they found themselves in a rut. Their conversations revolved around daily routines, and date nights had become repetitive. Anna felt like they were stuck in a cycle, but she didn't know how to break free. One day, she decided to sign up for a photography class, something she'd always wanted to do but had put off. Jake, inspired by her enthusiasm, joined a local soccer league he'd been eyeing for months. At first, they worried that spending time apart would create distance, but the opposite happened. They found themselves excited to share their new experiences with each other. Anna would show Jake the photos she'd taken and tell him about the people she met in her class. Jake would recount funny moments from his games and talk about how much he was enjoying the camaraderie. Their newfound independence reignited their curiosity about each other, and their relationship felt fresh and exciting again. Anna and Jake's story highlights an important truth. Independence doesn't weaken a relationship, it strengthens it. When both partners are fulfilled as individuals, they bring more to the partnership. They're not relying on the relationship to provide all their happiness, which takes pressure off and allows love to flourish naturally. So, how do you maintain a sense of mystery and independence while staying connected? Start by prioritizing your personal goals. Ask yourself, what makes you feel alive and inspired? What have you always wanted to try or achieve? Maybe it's taking a dance class, starting a side project, or traveling to a place you've always dreamed of. Whatever it is, give yourself permission to pursue it. When you invest in your personal growth, you not only enrich your own life but also bring a renewed sense of energy and excitement to the relationship. Another way to keep things fresh is to embrace spontaneity and surprise. Routine can be comforting, but it can also make a relationship feel predictable. Injecting small surprises, whether it's planning a spontaneous date, leaving a thoughtful note, or trying something new together, can bring back the sense of wonder that often fades over time. These moments don't have to be elaborate, it's the thought and effort that count. It's also important to support your partner's independence. Encourage them to pursue their own interests and passions, and show genuine enthusiasm for their growth. If they want to take up a new hobby, cheer them on. If they need time to spend with friends or family, respect and support that. When both partners feel free to be themselves, the relationship becomes a space of mutual respect and inspiration. Balancing closeness with independence can be tricky, especially if you're used to spending a lot of time together. One way to navigate this balance is by setting intentional boundaries. For example, you might decide to dedicate certain evenings to personal pursuits while reserving others for quality time together. This creates a healthy rhythm that allows both of you to grow individually while still nurturing your connection. At the same time, don't underestimate the power of curiosity. Just because you've been together for a while doesn't mean there's nothing left to discover about each other. Ask questions that go beyond the surface, like, what's something you've always wanted to try but haven't yet? Or, what's been inspiring you lately? These questions not only spark meaningful conversations but also remind your partner that you see them as a dynamic, evolving person. Maintaining mystery and independence isn't about creating distance or playing hard to get, it's about showing up as a whole, fulfilled individual. It's about embracing your own passions and encouraging your partner to do the same, knowing that your relationship will be stronger for it. When both of you are thriving as individuals, the connection you share becomes even more vibrant and exciting. As we wrap up this chapter, remember that relationships are not about losing yourself. They're about finding new ways to grow, both together and apart. By maintaining your individuality and embracing the balance between closeness and independence, you create a relationship that feels dynamic, inspiring, and alive. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the art of communication and how to keep the lines open and engaging. But for now, take this as a reminder. The best relationships aren't built on sameness, They're built on the beautiful interplay of two unique, independent souls coming together to create something extraordinary. Chapter 4. Communication that keeps him engaged. If there's one skill that can make or break a relationship, it's communication. It's the bridge that connects two people, allowing them to share their thoughts, feelings, and needs. But as critical as communication is, it's not always easy. Misunderstandings happen, emotions run high, and patterns that worked in the beginning of a relationship might not hold up over time. The good news is that communication isn't a fixed trait, it's a skill that evolves with practice and intention. Healthy communication is about more than just talking. It's about creating a space where both partners feel heard, respected, and understood. This doesn't mean you have to agree on everything, but it does mean approaching conversations with a spirit of curiosity and openness. When you can communicate in a way that fosters connection rather than conflict, you build trust and intimacy that keeps the relationship alive and engaging. One of the most common pitfalls in communication is falling into traps like nagging, criticism, or shutting down. These habits are often unintentional, but they can quickly erode the foundation of a relationship. Nagging, for example, often comes from a place of frustration or unmet needs, but it can make the other person feel attacked or controlled. Criticism, even when meant constructively, can feel like an attack on character rather than behavior. And shutting down, whether it's giving the silent treatment or avoiding difficult topics altogether, creates distance and leaves issues unresolved. The first step to avoiding these traps is self-awareness. Pay attention to how you communicate when you're upset or frustrated. Are you framing your concerns in a way that invites dialogue, or are you slipping into blame or defensiveness? For instance, instead of saying, "You never help around the house," you could say, "I've been feeling overwhelmed with chores lately, and it would mean a lot if we could share the load more evenly." This subtle shift turns a complaint into a request and invites collaboration rather than conflict. One of the most powerful tools for healthy communication is the use of I statements. These statements focus on your feelings and needs rather than assigning blame, which makes it easier for your partner to hear and respond. For example, instead of saying, "You're always late, and it's disrespectful," you might say, "I feel unimportant when plans don't start on time. Can we talk about how to make this work better for both of us?" This approach not only diffuses defensiveness but also opens the door for a constructive conversation. Let me share an example of how this shift transformed a real relationship. Lisa and James had been together for 3 years, but they often found themselves arguing over small things. Lisa felt like James wasn't pulling his weight around the house, while James felt like Lisa was constantly nitpicking. One day, their therapist suggested they try using I statements during conflicts. Instead of saying, "You're so lazy, you never do the dishes," Lisa started saying, "I feel really stressed when the dishes pile up because it makes me feel like I'm doing everything alone." To her surprise, James didn't get defensive. Instead, he acknowledged her feelings and agreed to help more. Over time, this small change in communication helped them address not just chores but other areas of their relationship with more empathy and understanding. Conflict is inevitable in any relationship, but how you handle it makes all the difference. Constructive conflict isn't about winning or proving a point. It's about finding solutions that work for both partners. This requires active listening, which means giving your full attention to what the other person is saying without interrupting or planning your response. It also means validating their feelings, even if you don't agree with their perspective. Phrases like, "I can see why you feel that way," or, "That makes sense," show empathy and help to escalate tension. When emotions are running high, it's okay to take a break before continuing the conversation. Stepping away for a few minutes or even a few hours can give both of you time to cool down and approach the issue with a clearer head. The key is to communicate that you're taking a break, not avoiding the issue. For example, you might say, "I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, and I think I need a moment to collect my thoughts. Can we revisit this in an hour?" This shows that you're committed to resolving the issue while respecting your own emotional limits. Another important aspect of communication is expressing your needs clearly. Many people expect their partners to read their minds, assuming that if they truly cared, they'd just know what to do. But the reality is that even the most attentive partner can't read your mind. Being direct about what you need doesn't make you demanding, it makes you a clear communicator. For instance, if you're feeling disconnected, instead of waiting for your partner to notice, you might say, "I've been missing our quality time together. Can we plan a date night this week?" This not only gets your needs met but also strengthens the relationship by fostering mutual understanding. Healthy communication also involves celebrating the good times, not just addressing the challenges. Expressing gratitude and appreciation can go a long way in keeping a relationship positive and engaging. Simple phrases like, "I really appreciate how supportive you've been lately," or, "Thank you for always making me laugh," remind your partner that their efforts are noticed and valued. These moments of affirmation build goodwill and make it easier to navigate conflicts when they arise. The takeaway here is that communication is a skill. It's not something you're born with or without. It requires practice, patience, and a willingness to grow. The more you invest in learning how to communicate effectively, the more rewarding your relationship will be. And while it might feel uncomfortable at first to adopt new habits or approaches, the results are worth it. Over time, you'll find that your conversations become more productive, your connection deeper, and your bond stronger. As we close this chapter, remember that communication isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, intentional, and kind. It's about creating a space where both of you feel safe to express your thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment or rejection. In the next chapter, we'll explore the role of playfulness and fun in keeping a relationship vibrant and exciting. But for now, take this as a reminder. The way you communicate sets the tone for your entire relationship. When you approach it with care and effort, you create a connection that not only lasts but thrives. Chapter 5. The role of playfulness and fun. When we think about what makes a relationship strong, we often focus on the big things: trust, communication, and shared goals. But there's another, equally important ingredient that often gets overlooked: playfulness. Laughter and fun aren't just extras, they're essential to keeping a relationship vibrant and alive. Playfulness creates joy, diffuses tension, and reminds you why you fell for each other in the first place. It's the spark that makes love feel light and exciting, even after years together. Think back to the early days of a relationship. Chances are, laughter came easily. You teased each other, shared inside jokes, and found joy in the simplest moments. But as time goes on and life becomes more complicated, it's easy to lose that sense of play. Responsibilities pile up, stress takes over, and before you know it, your relationship feels more like a series of tasks than a source of fun. The good news is that playfulness isn't something that has to fade with time. It's something you can cultivate at any stage of your relationship. Playfulness isn't just about jokes or pranks. It's about creating a shared sense of joy and connection. It's the way you look at each other across the room with a mischievous grin, the silly nicknames you have for each other, or the spontaneous dance parties in your kitchen. These moments might seem small, but they have a big impact. They strengthen your bond, lighten the mood, and make your relationship feel uniquely yours. Cultivating playfulness becomes especially important during stressful times. When life throws challenges your way, humor can be a lifeline. It doesn't solve the problem, but it gives you the perspective and energy to face it together. Let me share a story about a couple, Emily and Tom, who rediscovered the power of humor during one of the toughest periods of their marriage. Tom had lost his job, and the stress was weighing heavily on both of them. They found themselves arguing more, laughing less, and feeling disconnected. One evening, Emily decided to break the tension. She pulled out a board game they hadn't played in years and insisted they give it a go. At first, Tom resisted, he wasn't in the mood. But as the game went on, they found themselves laughing like they hadn't in months. That evening didn't fix everything, but it reminded them of the joy they shared and gave them the energy to tackle their challenges as a team. So how can you bring more playfulness into your relationship? Start by making space for shared fun. It doesn't have to be elaborate. A simple activity like cooking together, going for a walk, or watching a favorite comedy can do the trick. The key is to be fully present and to look for opportunities to connect in a lighthearted way. Try something new together, like taking a dance class or learning a skill you've both been curious about. New experiences create a sense of adventure and give you memories to laugh about later. Another way to keep things fun is to embrace spontaneity. Routine is comforting, but too much of it can make a relationship feel stagnant. Shake things up by planning a surprise date or doing something unexpected, like turning a regular evening into a themed dinner night or leaving a funny note where your partner will find it. These small acts of creativity and surprise can reignite the spark and keep things feeling fresh. Teasing, when done with care and affection, is another powerful tool for maintaining playfulness. Playful teasing shows that you're comfortable enough with each other to let your guard down and share a laugh. Just make sure the teasing is light and good-natured, something that makes you both smile, not something that cuts too deep. For example, if your partner always misplaces their keys, a gentle, humorous comment like, "Maybe we should install a GPS tracker on these," can be endearing rather than critical. One of the biggest misconceptions about playfulness is that it's only for the beginning stages of a relationship. The truth is, playfulness is a lifelong practice. It's not about being immature or avoiding serious topics. It's about finding joy in each other's company, no matter what life throws your way. Couples who prioritize fun and laughter often report higher levels of satisfaction and resilience in their relationships. It's not that they don't face challenges. It's that they face them with a sense of humor and togetherness that makes even the hardest days a little easier. Creating shared experiences is another important aspect of keeping your relationship fun. These experiences don't have to be extravagant. In fact, some of the most meaningful memories are built in everyday moments. Take a road trip and make a game out of spotting funny billboards. Have a picnic in your living room with blankets and your favorite snacks. Try to recreate a dish from your favorite restaurant together. These shared activities give you something to look forward to and something to laugh about later. It's also important to remember that playfulness isn't just about the big, planned moments. It's about how you interact with each other every day. Smile when you see them walk into the room. Give them a playful nudge when they say something silly. Create your own little traditions, like a secret handshake or a funny way of saying goodbye. These small gestures might seem insignificant, but they add up to a relationship that feels full of life and love. As we wrap up this chapter, keep in mind that playfulness and fun aren't luxuries. They're necessities. They're what make a relationship feel light, even when life feels heavy. They're what remind you why you chose each other in the first place and why you continue to choose each other every day. In the next chapter, we'll explore the role of physical and emotional affection in keeping your connection strong. But for now, remember this. Love doesn't have to be serious all the time. Sometimes, the best way to keep the spark alive is simply to laugh, play, and enjoy the ride together. Chapter 6. The Art of Physical and Emotional Affection. Affection is the heartbeat of a relationship. It's the small gestures, the touch of a hand, the warm embrace, or the quiet moments of emotional connection that remind your partner they're loved, cherished, and valued. While grand gestures can make a big impact, it's often the consistent acts of affection, both physical and emotional, that sustain a relationship over time. Affection is not just something you give in the honeymoon phase. It's a language of love that deepens your bond and keeps the relationship alive. Physical touch is one of the most direct and powerful ways to express love. It communicates care, comfort, and connection in ways words often cannot. A simple touch on the arm during a conversation, a hug after a long day, or holding hands while walking can create a sense of closeness that words alone can't achieve. Physical touch releases oxytocin, often called the love hormone, which fosters feelings of trust and bonding. It's a reminder of the intimacy you share and a signal that you're emotionally present for each other. Emotional affection is equally important. It's about creating a safe space for your partner to share their thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment. It's about showing empathy, listening with your full attention, and offering words of encouragement or comfort when they're needed most. Emotional affection reinforces the connection between two people, making them feel secure, supported, and loved. The key to sustaining a thriving relationship is balancing these two forms of affection. Physical touch and emotional intimacy aren't separate, they fuel and enhance each other. When you're emotionally connected, physical affection becomes more meaningful. Likewise, physical gestures can strengthen emotional closeness. For example, when your partner is feeling down, a hug paired with the words, "I'm here for you," can be incredibly powerful. It shows not only that you care but that you're present in both a physical and emotional sense. As life gets busier, it's easy for affection to take a back seat. Work, family responsibilities, and daily stressors can leave little room for meaningful connection. But intimacy doesn't have to require grand gestures or hours of uninterrupted time. Small, consistent acts of affection can make a significant difference. For instance, taking a few moments each day to check in with your partner, asking how their day went and really listening, can help maintain emotional closeness. Similarly, small touches like a kiss on the forehead before leaving for work or a cuddle on the couch during a movie can keep the physical connection alive. Let me share a story of how small gestures transformed a strained relationship. Claire and Ben had been together for 7 years, but recently, they'd grown distant. With demanding jobs and 2 young kids, their relationship had started to feel more like a partnership in logistics than a romantic connection. They rarely touched, rarely talked about anything beyond schedules, and both felt the growing gap between them. Claire decided something had to change. She started small, leaving sticky notes on Ben's coffee mug with messages like, "Good luck with your presentation today," "You've got this," or "Thinking of you." Ben was touched by the gestures and began responding in kind, slipping notes into her bag before work. Inspired by the positive shift, they began carving out a few minutes each evening to sit together without distractions. Sometimes they'd talk, other times, they'd just enjoy the quiet. Claire also made a point to greet Ben with a hug and kiss when he came home, no matter how tired she felt. Over time, these small acts reignited their affection for each other. What started as simple gestures led to deeper conversations and a renewed sense of connection. They weren't just partners in logistics anymore, they were partners in love again. Keeping affection alive requires intention. Here are a few tips to ensure it remains a priority, even when life gets hectic. First, make physical affection a daily habit. This doesn't mean you need to be constantly holding hands or cuddling, but find small moments throughout the day to connect physically. A quick kiss, a back rub, or even just sitting close on the couch can reinforce your bond. Second, prioritize emotional check-ins. Life can be overwhelming, and it's easy to let meaningful conversations slip through the cracks. Set aside time each week to ask your partner how they're really feeling, not just about work or the kids, but about life in general. These check-ins don't have to be formal or lengthy. The important thing is to show that you're genuinely interested in their thoughts and feelings. Third, look for ways to surprise your partner with thoughtful gestures. These don't have to be extravagant. A handwritten note, a favorite treat, or a playlist of songs that remind you of them can be incredibly meaningful. These surprises show that you're thinking about them and value the relationship. Finally, don't underestimate the power of saying, "I love you," "I appreciate you," or "thank you." Verbal expressions of affection reinforce emotional intimacy and remind your partner that they're cherished. Even if it feels obvious, hearing those words can make a world of difference. The takeaway here is that affection isn't a one-time effort, it's an ongoing practice. It's about showing up for your partner every day in ways that make them feel loved, valued, and secure. It's about finding joy in the little moments and building a relationship that feels warm, safe, and alive. As we close this chapter, remember that affection is a language. It's not just about grand declarations, it's about the small, consistent ways you show your love. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to navigate challenges and keep your connections strong even in the toughest times. But for now, take this as a reminder. Affection isn't just a phase. It's the foundation of a lasting, fulfilling relationship. Keep speaking the language of love, and your connection will only grow stronger with time. Chapter 7. Handling challenges without losing the connection. Every relationship, no matter how strong, will face challenges. Whether it's financial stress, parenting struggles, health crises, or the inevitable curveballs life throws your way, these moments can test even the closest of bonds. But here's the truth. Challenges don't have to break a relationship. In fact, they can make it stronger if approached with the right mindset and strategies. The key is to navigate these obstacles together, staying united rather than letting the stress drive you apart. It's easy to feel disconnected during tough times. When life gets overwhelming, partners often fall into survival mode, focusing on getting through the day rather than nurturing their relationship. Conversations start revolving around tasks and responsibilities, while affection and emotional intimacy take a back seat. Over time, this distance can grow, leaving both partners feeling isolated and unsupported. But it doesn't have to be this way. One of the most common challenges couples face is financial stress. Money problems can create tension, trigger arguments, and make it hard to see eye to eye. The first step to handling this stress as a team is to approach the situation with openness and honesty. Instead of pointing fingers or assigning blame, focus on finding solutions together. For example, if debt is a source of stress, sit down together and create a plan to tackle it. Be transparent about your concerns, but also make room to listen to your partner's perspective. When you approach financial challenges as a team, they become less daunting and more manageable. Parenting is another area where challenges often arise. Raising children is a rewarding but demanding journey that can strain even the strongest relationships. Disagreements about discipline, differing parenting styles, and the sheer exhaustion of raising kids can leave couples feeling at odds. To stay connected, it's important to prioritize communication and carve out time for each other, even if it's just a few minutes a day. Remember that you're partners in this journey, not opponents. Acknowledge each other's efforts and find ways to support one another, whether it's taking turns with nighttime feedings or giving each other breaks to recharge. Health issues, whether physical or mental, can also take a toll on a relationship. Illness or injury often brings uncertainty, fear, and emotional strain. During these times, empathy and patience are essential. If your partner is struggling, let them know you're there for them, not just in words, but through your actions. Offer to accompany them to appointments, help with daily tasks, or simply be a listening ear. And if you're the one facing health challenges, don't be afraid to lean on your partner for support. Vulnerability strengthens connection, and facing these challenges together can deepen your bond. The biggest risk during difficult times is the possibility of drifting apart. Stress can make people withdraw, either because they're overwhelmed or because they don't want to burden their partner. But withdrawing only creates more distance, making it harder to navigate the challenge together. To avoid this, make a conscious effort to stay emotionally connected. Check in with each other regularly, even if it's just to ask, "How are you holding up?" or "What's been on your mind lately?" These small moments of connection remind you both that you're in this together. Let me share a story about a couple who faced a major challenge and came out stronger on the other side. Rachel and Dan had been married for 8 years when Dan lost his job. The financial strain was immediate, but the emotional impact was just as heavy. Dan felt like he'd let Rachel down, while Rachel struggled to keep their household running on her income alone. Tension grew, and they started snapping at each other over small things. One night, after an especially heated argument, Rachel decided they needed to change how they were handling the situation. The next morning, she sat down with Dan and said, "I know this has been hard on both of us, but I want us to face it together. Let's figure out a plan." They began setting aside time each evening to talk about their goals, brainstorm job leads, and discuss ways to cut expenses. They also made a point to focus on the positives, like the extra time Dan had to spend with their kids. Over time, these conversations brought them closer, reminding them that they were a team. Dan eventually found a new job, but the experience left them stronger and more united than ever before. Rachel and Dan's story highlights an important truth. Challenges can either drive you apart or bring you closer. It's all about how you handle them. When you face obstacles as a team, you create a sense of unity and resilience that strengthens your relationship. It's not about avoiding challenges altogether, that's impossible. It's about choosing to support each other, even when things are hard. Here are a few strategies to stay united during tough times. First, focus on the problem, not the person. It's easy to get caught up in blame or frustration, but this only creates more tension. Instead, work together to address the issue at hand. Use phrases like, "How can we handle this?" or "What can we do to make this easier?" to shift the focus from conflict to collaboration. Second, make time for each other, even when life feels overwhelming. This doesn't have to be anything elaborate. A quiet moment together at the end of the day, a walk around the block, or even sharing a meal can help you reconnect. The goal is to remind each other that your relationship is a priority, even amidst the chaos. Third, practice gratitude. When stress is high, it's easy to focus on what's going wrong, but taking a moment to appreciate what's going right can make a big difference. Share what you're grateful for about each other, whether it's something big, like their support, or something small, like the way they make you laugh. Gratitude shifts your perspective and reinforces the positive aspects of your relationship. Finally, don't be afraid to seek outside help if needed. Whether it's talking to a trusted friend, seeking advice from a mentor, or working with a therapist, getting support can provide valuable perspective and tools to navigate challenges. Asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and commitment to your relationship. As we close this chapter, remember that challenges are an inevitable part of life, but they don't have to define your relationship. When you face them with empathy, patience, and a team mindset, they can become opportunities for growth and connection. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to grow together over time, building a relationship that evolves and thrives. But for now, take this as a reminder. It's not the challenges themselves that determine the strength of your relationship, it's how you face them together. Chapter 8. Growing Together Over Time. One of the most beautiful aspects of a long-term relationship is the opportunity to grow, both as individuals and as a couple. The person you are when you first fall in love isn't the person you'll remain forever. Life changes us, challenges us, and shapes us, and the same goes for your partner. The key to a thriving relationship is learning how to embrace that growth, both yours and his, in a way that strengthens your bond rather than pulling you apart. Growth is not something to fear in a relationship, it's something to celebrate. Think about it. The qualities that attracted you to each other in the first place, curiosity, ambition, passion, are likely the same ones that fuel personal evolution. Supporting each other's dreams and ambitions means recognizing that a healthy relationship isn't about stasis. It's about creating a dynamic partnership where both of you feel encouraged to pursue what makes you happy, even if that means stepping outside of your comfort zones. A thriving relationship starts with mutual respect for each other's individuality. This means being genuinely curious about your partner's passions and ambitions, even if they differ from your own. Perhaps he's passionate about starting a new business or learning a skill he's always dreamed of mastering. Your role isn't to share his dream but to cheer him on, ask thoughtful questions, and show him that you believe in his potential. The same goes for you. Pursuing your own goals is not selfish, it's an essential part of maintaining your individuality and bringing your best self into the relationship. Let me share the story of Mia and Ethan, a couple who thrived by supporting each other's growth. Mia had always wanted to go back to school to get her master's degree, but she worried it would strain their relationship and finances. Ethan, a talented chef, dreamed of opening his own restaurant but felt overwhelmed by the risks. Instead of seeing these ambitions as obstacles, they decided to approach them as a team. Ethan took on extra hours at his job so Mia could reduce hers and focus on her studies. Later, when Mia graduated and landed a higher-paying job, she helped support Ethan as he worked on his restaurant dream. It wasn't always easy, and there were moments of stress and doubt, but they communicated openly and celebrated every win, big or small. When Mia aced a challenging exam, Ethan surprised her with a small gift. When Ethan secured a location for his restaurant, Mia threw a surprise dinner to mark the occasion. These gestures weren't about the gifts themselves but about the message they sent. I see you. I'm proud of you. We're in this together. By investing in each other's dreams, Mia and Ethan didn't just achieve their individual goals. They built a stronger, more resilient partnership. Supporting each other's growth is only part of the equation. Growing together as a couple means creating shared goals and a vision for your future. This doesn't mean you need to plan every detail of your lives, but having a general sense of where you're headed together provides direction and unity. Maybe you dream of traveling the world, starting a family, or building a business together. Whatever your shared vision is, talk about it openly and regularly. Revisit your goals as you grow and evolve, adjusting them to reflect your current realities and aspirations. Creating a shared vision also includes finding ways to celebrate your successes as a team. When you accomplish something together, whether it's buying your first home, navigating a tough period, or simply reaching a milestone you set for yourselves, take the time to acknowledge and celebrate it. These moments of shared pride reinforce your bond and remind you of what you're capable of achieving together. Growth isn't always linear, and it isn't without its challenges. As you both evolve, there will be times when your paths diverge slightly. Maybe one of you goes through a personal transformation that shifts priorities, or maybe external circumstances force you to rethink your plans. These moments can feel unsettling, but they're also opportunities to deepen your connection. The key is to stay curious and open. Ask your partner how they're feeling, what they're learning, and how you can support them during this time of change. Sharing your own thoughts and feelings creates a sense of partnership, even in moments of uncertainty. One way to ensure continued growth as a couple is to build rituals that strengthen your connection. These don't have to be elaborate. They can be as simple as a weekly coffee date where you talk about your goals, a monthly adventure where you try something new together, or an annual review of your shared dreams and plans. These rituals create a sense of stability while also encouraging exploration and evolution. Another important aspect of growing together is learning how to navigate differences. No two people grow at the same pace or in the same direction, and that's okay. The goal isn't to become identical, it's to create a partnership where your differences complement each other. For example, if one of you is a dreamer and the other is more grounded, use those traits to balance and support each other. The dreamer can inspire big ideas, while the grounded partner helps create actionable steps to make them happen. Embracing your differences as strengths rather than obstacles fosters growth and collaboration. As we wrap up this chapter, let's revisit the key takeaway. Long-term interest is fueled by shared growth and evolution. A relationship isn't a static entity, it's a living, breathing connection that requires care, attention, and adaptability. By supporting each other's individual dreams, creating a shared vision, and celebrating your journey together, you build a foundation that's not only strong but deeply fulfilling. In the end, growing together is about choosing each other every day. It's about saying, I see you, I value you, and I'm excited for all the chapters we have yet to write. Love isn't just about the moments when everything is easy, it's about showing up, investing in each other, and building a life that feels rich with possibility. The journey of growth is lifelong, and with the right mindset and approach, it's when you can share in a way that strengthens your bond and keeps your love alive. As we come to the end of this journey together, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've explored. Keeping a man interested long-term isn't about mastering tricks or playing games. It's about creating a relationship that feels alive, fulfilling, and deeply connected for both of you. Attraction is not a one-time spark. It's an ongoing process fueled by effort, growth, and a shared commitment to building something meaningful. The secret lies in showing up every day with intention, curiosity, and a willingness to invest in your connection. Throughout this audiobook, we've uncovered the essential ingredients for maintaining a thriving relationship. From understanding the dynamics of long-term attraction to cultivating emotional intimacy, balancing independence and togetherness, communicating effectively, and keeping playfulness alive, you now have the tools to navigate love with confidence and grace. You've learned that affection is more than a fleeting phase, it's a lifelong practice. You've seen how challenges, rather than driving you apart, can bring you closer when approached as a team. And most importantly, you've discovered the power of growth, both individually and together, as the foundation for lasting connection. Attraction is not static. It requires effort and a willingness to adapt as life changes and evolves. But the beauty of love is that it grows with you. The relationship you have today is not the one you'll have a year from now, 5 years from now, or a decade from now, and that's a good thing. The key is to embrace this evolution, to see your relationship not as a finished product but as a living, breathing connection that requires care, attention, and reinvention over time. One of the most important lessons to take away is that keeping him interested isn't about sacrificing yourself or bending to his expectations. It's about creating a partnership where both of you feel seen, valued, and inspired. It's about showing up as your full, authentic self while encouraging him to do the same. When you nurture your own growth and passions, you bring fresh energy and excitement to the relationship. When you support his dreams and celebrate his victories, you create a bond that feels like a true partnership. And when you build a shared vision for the future, you lay the foundation for a love that thrives. Relationships are not without their challenges. There will be moments of doubt, miscommunication, and difficulty. But these moments are not the end, they're opportunities to grow stronger together. Love is not about avoiding challenges but about learning how to navigate them with compassion and understanding. It's about choosing each other, even when things feel hard. The right relationship isn't one where everything is perfect. It's one where both people are committed to showing up, even when it's not easy. As you move forward, I encourage you to embrace the journey of maintaining love over time. Don't be afraid to ask for what you need, to share your feelings, or to take the lead in creating the connection you desire. Remember, love is not passive, it's active. It's something you choose to invest in every day, through your actions, words, and presence. Keeping him interested is not about grand gestures or constant excitement. It's about the small, consistent moments that remind him, and yourself, why you're in this together. It's the way you listen when he's had a tough day, the way you laugh together over an inside joke, and the way you support each other's dreams, no matter how big or small. These moments, seemingly ordinary, are what build extraordinary relationships. If you take one thing away from this audiobook, let it be this. Love is not something that happens to you, it's something you create. You have the power to shape a relationship that feels rich with joy, passion, and connection. It doesn't require perfection, just effort. It doesn't require constant sparks, just care. And it doesn't require changing who you are, just being the best version of yourself and inviting your partner to do the same. As we close, I want to leave you with an uplifting thought. Love is limitless. It grows, evolves, and adapts in ways you might not yet imagine. Every relationship is unique, and yours has the potential to become something truly extraordinary if you're willing to nurture it. So, go forward with confidence, knowing that you have the tools, the mindset, and the heart to create a love story that's as beautiful as it is enduring. This is not the end, it's the beginning of a new chapter in your journey. Embrace it with an open heart, a curious mind, and the belief that love is not static. You have the power to shape a relationship that thrives. And when you do, you'll find that the journey of love is not just about keeping him interested, it's about building a connection that keeps both of you inspired, fulfilled, and deeply connected for years to come.